Hey you guys, this is Mychaeltodd and welcome to My Two Cents. Before I start, I want to introduce you guys to somebody that's kind of special to me. I've been meaning to say thank you to this person for a long time, and every time I start my videos, I always forget to thank this YouTube blogger who I met a long time ago when I started needing information about different things in San Francisco. I needed him to contact somebody that was a friend of mine in San Francisco. A friend of mine named December lived in San Francisco, and I've been trying to contact December. And when I found out this blogger by the name of Timothy Blaine lived in San Francisco, and Timothy told me that he lived not too far from December, that December lived around the corner from him. I said, could you do me a favor? When you see December again, can you at least give her my phone number? He said, well, I'll run around the corner and I'll give my number, give your number to him. And Timothy ran around the corner. Here I am in Arizona. He runs around the corner in San Francisco and he gives December my telephone number, and December called me and we stayed in contact. And anybody who lives in San Francisco who's been there for a long time knows who December is. December was one of those people. When I first moved to San Francisco, I got into a fight with like 4 or 5 people from Bayview's Hunters Point. I wasn't even 21 years old. I was in a club, and I write about that incident in my book called Hey Puddin'. I was new in town. I went to this club called Different Strokes, and Different Strokes was on California Street. And it was on a Wednesday night. It was called Blue Jean Night, and if you wore blue jeans, you got in free. So there was always this gang of wild kids from Bayview's Hunters Point. They would always show up, and they would always cause a bunch of drama, starts fights, and the owners, Danny and Richard, was a white and black couple, and they lived in Oakland Hills, and they owned a club in the Nob Hill Mall. And every time the riffraff came up in there, they knew it was going to be some drama. But I don't know whether they was afraid of the riffraff. They allowed them to come in there, and they probably said, "Oh shit, here they come. What can we do?" So they showed their ID, let them in there, and just hope nothing would happen. Well, I had just moved to town, and I decided that I wanted to go out, and I just was walking down the street and I heard some music, so I decided I would go into this club. So I go into this club, and the music is bumping, and they're playing Sylvester, If You Want a Funk, Let Me Show You How. And that was like the hottest song. And next thing I know, Sylvester walks up in the club. I'm like, oh God, I'm saying Sylvester was like, the legendary superstar, of San Francisco. And so now the music got louder and everybody's jamming, and I'm like, I'm trying to rush to the dance floor to get, to get to the number. And Sylvester, leaves the club, while his song was playing. And during all that commotion, I accidentally stepped on somebody's foot. And his name was Luther. And me and Luther could pass for cousins. And I said, oh man, excuse me. And Luther said, blah, 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 B-I-D, and he took his finger and said, pop, hit my nose. When he took his finger and hit my nose, I waltzed his butt from one end of that club to the other end of that club. This was a legendary fight. Everybody remember this fight that was in Different Strokes that night. And he was there with his entourage, his group, his gang. And, I didn't know any of them. I really didn't know anybody in the club. And so, but everybody knew who Luther was. And so, to make a long story short, I had to fight 4 people that night. And I whipped every one of their ass. I gave them all an Ohio ass whooping that night. I fought going down the stairs, because you had to go up the stairs to get in Different Strokes. So I fought going down the stairs, out the club. The owners didn't want me to leave. They was like, don't leave, stay. Don't go out there. I said, I gotta leave eventually. So so I might as well leave. And the thing about it, I had met, there was a person in the club tonight that was working there, and his name was Tim Howard. I had met him that night, and everybody kept telling me, and me and Tim, we looked alike, but everybody kept saying, he was a black dude, and they said he's not into black people, he's a snow queen. And I was like, well, hell, he ain't met me yet. That's on y'all. And these are people I didn't even know. Make a long story short, me and Tim, we dated for years, and we ended up going together. And so I'm fighting, going down the stairs. I had to jump down the stairs, jump on a person, to fight, and during the commotion, December kind of like interceded and came up to me and gave me a long file, a fingernail file. It looked like it was pretty much a knife. It was sharp, and gave it to me and said, "Here, you're gonna need this." And the person that I had gotten, the person I originally got in a fight with, the first person came at me and cut my chest with something. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it, but he cut me, and when he cut me, I jumped up on top of this car that was like parked in the on California Street in front of the club. I jumped on top of it, so because all these, the whole gang was coming towards me, so I jumped up to get these people up off of me, and that's when December and a bunch of other people said, "No, all y'all not gonna jump on him. We ain't having this," and blah blah blah. This was the first time that they had ever confronted those bullies in that club. Everybody knew who they was, and it was December. It was Brian Summers. I can remember who a couple other people, kind of like interceded and stuff like that. But they didn't care, and they were still coming for me. So I jumped off the car, and somebody named Miss Connie, short little, muscular little queen. She was supposed to be all that. She came running towards me, and I turned around, and I'm in the middle of California Street. Cable cars is coming down the street. I turn around, I'm boxing, beating her ass. And I just happened to turn around. I seen another person running after me, and it was Milbert. Everybody knows Milbert. Me and Milbert ended up going to church together. And I turned around, and I'm just fighting Milbert. I'm fighting all these nickels. And the funniest thing about it, this was back in the, I'm gonna say, kind of middle 80s. You know what I'm saying? So I was high. I was high off speed. I was high. And it seems like every time somebody tried to land a punch on me, I had already clocked in my mind how I was going to punch them. I had already said, okay, I'm going to do it this way. Pop, and that's why I was doing it. I had already orchestrated how I was going to whip their asses in my head. And it just worked out for the better. It was just one of those times. Back in the 80s, everybody was doing something, and they happened to deal with me on the night when I had did some speed. And I sped around and whipped all 40 bucks. Well, the cable car was coming down the street. They was trying to put on the brakes. We were fighting in the middle of the street. The fight stopped. The police came. Everybody kind of like spread out and just left, So the police didn't take anybody to jail. But the next day, there was an article in what they call the Tenderloin Times, where they said there was a fight that happened at such and such club, and blah 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 blah. And well, it was me, but the police, they didn't go search nobody for no fight. The next day, me and little Tony, the girl that I was living with, we went for a walk. We were walking down the Visadero Street. Next day, the afternoon, we're walking down the street, and this car is following us. Well, it's like these three dudes, the three people that was in the fight, they're following us down the Visadero Street, in the afternoon. And little Tony, a short, little, cute little, cute girl. And she knew everybody in the neighborhood. It was like all like 15 or 20 dudes hanging out on the corner. And it was like the Visadero, I forget this, whatever the corner street was. I'd just say, I don't know, Pierce, maybe. And so when we get down to the corner at the light caught the car, and all these dudes was right there, and Tony knew all of them. And I was like, Tony, those are the dudes I got in a fight with. She was, those are the dudes you got in a fight with? She goes, well, hold on one second. So she walks over to her dudes, and she tells the dudes, this is my friend. He got in a fight with these dudes right there at this corner last night, and, they all tried to jump him, but he whooped their ass. He handled it. And so they was like, man, you whooped him? I was like, yeah, man, I whooped him. I said, it's over with. I said, I don't know why they follow us. So those dudes, they left their corner. They walked over to their car at the light, and it was like banging on. Get out the car! Get out the car! Get out the car! You got something? And it was like they was petrified in their car. Okay. When that light changed, they got out of town. You hear me? And I ain't have no more problems. I ain't nobody more following me. Nothing happened. And so I decided, I guess during the week, we went to this show at the Blue and Gold, and these drag queens, they did like a sketch every it seemed like every night of the week, but we went there on one night where they have like the biggest show or something. And one of the guys that I got in a fight with was in the club. And he looked at me and I looked at him, and I wasn't leaving. And so he walks over to me and he was like, Michael, I really don't know you, but I'm tired of walking around living in fear. And I know I was a part of the fight, but I really, Luther always starts stuff, and we always have to pick up for him, and he keeps stuff started, and I didn't want to fight you, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, listen, man, I said, I'm over it, and I'm done with it. I said, what you did was effed up. I said, let's forget about it. But I said, but don't ever let that happen again, blah, blah, blah. And, it was cool. It was over and it was done with. I seen Luther eventually, and me and Luther made up, and come to find out, we end up, really end up becoming friends. It wasn't no big deal. It was just one of those things where, I guess he was high too. And when he went all like this, and, I said, I apologize. It's like, excuse me for stepping on your foot. Most people, they would step on your foot and just keep on walking. I stopped trying to be a gentleman and said, man, excuse me for, excuse me. And he was like, excuse me, and when he hit my nose with his finger, I beat his ass from one end of that. I picked up chairs, champagne bottles, whatever I could, and I went off. But anyway, December came to my rescue, and I wanted to talk to December because I was going to write about that in my book. And Timothy Blaine, who is a blogger on YouTube, went and got December's information from me. I didn't mean to go into a detailed story about it that long, but it's a good story. It's something that I remember. You know what I'm saying? It's back when I was much, much younger. I was in my 20s. I'm 61 years old now. You know what I'm saying? I lived through that. I could end up dead. Anything could have happened. I could end up, a drug addict, but that didn't happen either. That's not my testimony. So Timothy Blaine, thank you for doing what you did. Now, the reason that I'm doing this YouTube show tonight is because not only did my good buddy Timothy Blaine, there he is, that's Timothy Blaine. Timothy Blaine is also an author, just like I am, I think I showed you guys earlier that, I wrote my book, Hey Puddin'. And Timothy Blaine, he kept asking me for years, he was like, Mike, have you finished your book yet? Have you finished your book yet? And I was like, no, Tim, I ain't finished it yet. But Timothy has written 4 books. And I think his first book that he wrote is called Meth Monster. And you guys can get it on Amazon and Kindle books. He wrote like 4 books. And he's just a really good dude. He's one of the guys that I listen to on YouTube, but there's some other guys that I listen to on YouTube also. And these guys that I'm getting ready to tell you about right now, these guys always talk about religious and gospel stuff. Now, I've talked about religious and gospel stuff, and I, believe it or not, I've been on YouTube for about 10 years. And I have almost 2 million views. I don't have a lot of subscribers like everybody else do, but I have like 2,200 subscribers, where some of the people have like 59,000, 60,000 subscribers and stuff like that. I got on YouTube because of a gospel, pretty much religious kind of situation. Donnie McClurkin said something that I didn't appreciate about gay youth at a Koji convention, and I made a video about it years ago, and probably almost 10 years ago, and that video that I made probably hit about 100,000 views. And some of the other videos that I've done, like made a Yolanda Adams video, that's like 400,000 views. I did a what's her name? One of Sean Pace Rose. I mean, I love Sean Pace, and I made some videos of her, and they're like 300,000, 100,000 views. And so those really helped me. Mary J. Blige. So I'm not a gospel blogger, but I do talk about those things. But the bloggers that I'm going to talk about tonight, those bloggers pretty much talk about gospel things all the time. And those guys are, and I'm sure you guys already know who they are. They're on YouTube all the time. Larry Reid Live, King James, King Jives, excuse me, not King James. Close, huh? King Jives, Obnoxious TV, what's his name? Excuse me, y'all. William McCray. And then we got ConsciouzTV. Now, ConsciouzTV, he does pretty much all kind of stuff. He's not really just a gospel, he's not really like a gospel blogger, but he came to what I would call the rescue of King Jives and Larry Reid, because they kind of like fell out over some BS, and everybody pretty much knows about it, and they've been kind of like following it and stuff like this. And I'm not the person who watches and follows those guys all the time, but sometimes the topics that they bring up are really, really good, and it keeps my attention. But the one that they brought up just recently, I can see how people can become jealous and envious over petty stuff. And it all depends on how good you are, how good you think you are, how good other people think you are, how good you want to be. But the bottom line is, if it is your blessing to be that #1 blogger, to make that income from being that #1 blogger, there's enough money out there for everybody to get some. You have to, like, what's her name? The transgender comedian. Can't nobody do you except you. What's her name? Flame Monroe. The bottom line is, BIT, can't nobody do you but you. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about how many subscribers somebody else has. Don't worry about, what story you got, or who got the story first. The bottom line is, you're going to make your money, and he's going to make his. All that arguing back and forth and calling each other out each other's name and stuff like that. Why we got to be so rough on each other? I mean, is it really that necessary? And as far as blocking each other and stuff like that, you don't even have to block each other. Just don't listen to it. Don't lose your income over people. They're going to talk about you regardless. What got me on YouTube is because I wanted to be heard, because I wanted everybody to hear what I had to say about Donnie McClurkin. I did not appreciate Donnie McClurkin being that he's not a psychologist. So for him to sit up and call gay youth out and say, come up to the altar, I need to talk to you, and all you butch girls and all you effeminate men and blah, 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 blah. Well, Donnie, did you go out and seek some help? Did you have a degree? Are you a psychiatrist? Did you get permission from their parents to counsel them on a subject that is really sensitive to young people? So, all that stuff that he was saying and all the stuff that he's been through, I was perturbed, and I felt that I needed to address that, and I went out there and I addressed it. I got a lot of flack from different people, because the bottom line is, I'm an ordained minister. No, I didn't go to theology school, nor I didn't get ordained by any big-time minister. I went online just like millions of other people and became an ordained minister, and I started my film and media ministry, and then I took it on to different churches, and I've worked in different churches, and then I've done it, freelance. I have my own small little studio where I do my own thing and I help people out. And believe it or not, anybody can have a ministry. If you like taking care of plants, if you like taking care of cats, if you like taking care of a garden, that can be a ministry. So all these people talking about, you got to be called by God and blah 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 blah. That's a bunch of malarkey. Don't believe all that stuff. Some of these people where they come up with all the ideals of what God said, how God spoke to them, and you got to go through this and you got to go through all that. No, but some people become pastors of churches because it's passed down from their daddy to the uncle to the aunt. So, and did one day in seminary school, or nothing. Now, there's some big organizations where you have to go to seminary school in order to be a part of that organization. And I would think like something like UCC and whatever, big, organizations, maybe Catholic and all that other kind of stuff, Methodist, anyway, Lutheran. And I am Lutheran. I'm still Lutheran. I have not given up my Lutheran faith. And I have done my ministry work in the Lutheran Church. Right now, I'm between a Lutheran church and I'm between a new church that I just joined, and it's called Ebenezer Phoenix. And my pastor is Redeemed Robinson. We're not related. But anyway, I just wish that this guy right here, ConsciouzTV, I wish he would make it a little bit more clear what they were really, really upset about, what Larry Reid and King James was upset about. what I kind of like picked up is that this woman, evidently some famous, well, she wasn't famous. This woman was dealing with, I believe, a married man, and something happened in the church where there was some kind of, oh, I don't want to say sexual assault or something happened in the church, and she got a payout or something, and she promised Larry Reid a donation to his church, and that she was going to do the story with him, and she ended up doing the story with King Jives, and then Larry Reid wanted to do a story with King Jives and McCray, and then some of his people got to him and told him that it wouldn't be a good look for him to do a story with Obnoxious and King Jives because their credibility wasn't on the up and up and as good as his, and he had more followers, and since he was number one in the gossiping, blogging, religious field on the internet, that it should be him to break the story with this girl and this pastor and blah 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 blah, and it got all blown out of shape, and everybody had different stories on it and different takes. And King Jives is not one to bite his tongue, and he will call you out. He will call you out of your name. He will call you some things you ain't gonna like, you know, and he'll put that crown on, and he'll read you every which way to Sunday. And what I found out is that a lot of the people that's in this religious blogging stuff, you know, that's going back and forth with each other. For example, Larry Reid, he's been through a lot in his life, and he has no problem telling you some of the things that he's been through his life. And I was just shocked that, you know, here is this straight man giving up his testimony of some of the things that, you know, he was, you know, taken through as a young boy. And I commend him for that, because most men aren't going to get up and tell you publicly some of the hurt and some of the damage that they've been through as a young boy. And then for another blogger to, you know, call him out of his name and make certain accusations that aren't true, I found that a little bit disheartening. And for the simple fact that they used to be friends. And so when King Jives decided that, you know, he just didn't care and he was just going for, you know, the blood, so to speak, Larry Reid decided, you know, I'm through. I've washed my hands with him. You know, I was going to try to help him. I was going to try to do this. And yeah, I didn't have a problem with him. And then he just took it to another level, calling me out of my name and stuff like that. I'm not going to put up with that. And, you know, a lot of men aren't going to be put up with, you know, being called out of the name, especially when you call it, you know, a man, you know, a bitch. It's just something that a lot of men can't stomach. I mean, sometimes you can, you know, call me a bitch, big deal. You know what I'm saying? I'll deal with it. It's just a word. It's just, you know, you are what you answer to. Like if you call me the N-word, you know, it's sort off my back. You know, I don't answer to it. I don't answer to a whole bunch of stuff. If you catch me on the wrong day, then it might be a problem. And this rascal right here, Lord have mercy, that's a good picture of him. But he wears some outfits and some, what I call some Sunday go to meeting hats. It's a little bit too much. And so I could see where Larry's people might say, you know what, grouping yourself up with obnoxious McCray may be a little bit too much. And the fact that McCray and King Jives was becoming buddy-buddy, I guess Larry just decided, you know what, in order not to hurt either one of their feelings, I'm just going to say that, you know, my people just decided that, you know, that we're just going to go with me and we're not going to do this story. And he didn't want to hurt their feelings by telling them that, you know, their credibility was suspect. But anyway, they found out about it, and that's when the hit the ceiling, you know, the stuff hit the fan, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, ConsciouzTV, he decided that, you know, he would be the mediator and he would try to let Larry know that, you know what, Jives has a way, he's emotionally hurt, and he doesn't probably have all the know with how to deal with his feelings the way that most people do. And so he probably gets a little bit more gutter with it, and he's going to say some things that's hurtful, because that's how he's been accustomed to reacting. But you got to do better, Jives. You really got to do better. You know, you got to be. I'm the kind of person, you know, I try not to do a lot of cursing and swearing because it's not really necessary. And I got nieces and nephews, and my mother and father are still alive, and I got uncles and aunts, and they know, you know, I don't sit around them and do a bunch of cursing and swearing. I can, and if I'm around certain kind of friends, you know what I'm saying? I mean, especially my good Judy's, you know, we say all kind of stuff. But when you're in public and you're trying to, you know, get a certain base, you want pretty much everybody to see your work. So you have to be careful what you say, what comes out of your mouth. Yeah, we know you can cuss. We know you know how to break it down and get gut bucket, you know, but you don't have to say all that online. Now, my good Judy, and I love her, Tasha K, woo! That sister right there. I really got to talk to her. Now, Tasha K is another person. She'll do everything. She talks about everything, but Tasha K, she really breaks it down, and she got a mouth on her, and she don't care. You know, she gonna say what she want to say. But that's something we'll talk about later on. But anyway, back to ConsciouzTV. ConsciouzTV was trying to restore both of ConsciouzTV. He was trying to restore Larry Reid and Jives TV back together. You know, he was trying to get that friendship back because there was a misunderstanding that went left, and he was trying to be the mediator, in which I respect that, because when Tyler Perry and, how should I say this, what's his name, what's the famous producer's name? I got a brain freeze right now. What's the producer? She's got to have it. What's his name? Spike Lee. When Spike Lee and Tyler Perry was pretty much kind of like having a beef, and Spike Lee was saying a bunch of negative things about Tyler Perry, and it pretty much had to do with Medea and stuff like that. I didn't say anything negative. What I did a press release, and I wrote a letter, just an open letter, and I said, you know what? You know, don't handle it like this, Spike. I said, if you have a problem with your brother, why don't you pick up a telephone and you call him and set up a lunch date and go out and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? You're a grown man. There's a better way of saying something slick in public. You know, we don't need to hear all that. You're better than that. You know, just like, you know, these bloggers are better than that. You know, set an example. We are so quick to argue and go off on each other in public. You know, if you got a problem with your brother or your sister, try handling it a different way. Don't get online and read them and cuss them out when you can pick up the telephone first and make a telephone call. You know, that's one thing I can say about Tasha K. She will call a person first and say, hey, blah, 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 you know, and if you don't respond, then, you know, she drops the hammer and there's the story. You know, she gives you a chance first. And then it's HELL. But anyway, that's what happened with these bloggers, and you know, they do pretty much all church stuff, and so all these big time ministers, all these pastors, all these bishops, we got so many bishops in the gospel field. You know, Lord have mercy, everybody wants to be a bishop. You know, I don't even know what the criteria is for a pastor for being a bishop, you know. So I would like for somebody to talk about that. You know, what is the criteria and why everybody feels they need to be a bishop instead of a pastor. Anyway, that's it. I didn't mean to bring the story to you for so late, and then I want to thank my girlfriend again. Her name is Darlene. Make sure y'all get her book. It's called A Mother's Manual. You can get it on Amazon. Very, very good book, especially for a new mother, a single mother, and a single father, or a father, period. Really good book. And don't forget about my book. It's called Hey Puddin', Some Things Just Don't Change. And it's the truth. And I'm going to say this one more time. Nothing beats a failure but a try. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.